In the mid-18th century, a shadow fell over the heart of France. In the remote, forested region of Gévaudan, something began to hunt. It wasn't just a predator, it was a nightmare given flesh. A creature of immense size and ferocity that seemed to target humans with chilling precision, preferring women and children. For 3 long years, from 1764 to 1767, this entity, known as the Beast of Gévaudan, would terrorize the countryside, leaving behind a trail of over 100 victims and a mystery that endures to this day. What was this monster? A wolf? Something far worse? Join me as we journey back to a time of superstition and fear to uncover the truth behind one of history's most terrifying legends. Our story begins in the summer of 1764, in the Margeride Mountains of southern France. The region of Gévaudan was isolated, a rugged landscape of dense forests, rocky hills, and scattered villages. Life was hard, and people were deeply connected to the land and their faith. In June, a young woman herding cattle knew the Forêt de Mercoeur was the first to encounter the beast. It charged her, but her brave bulls drove it away. She described a creature larger than any wolf she'd ever seen, with reddish-brown fur, a massive head, and a long, powerful tail. Her account was terrifying but dismissed by some as a wild tale. Soon, however, the stories could no longer be ignored. Just a few weeks later, the beast claimed its first victim. 14-year-old Jean Bullet was found near the village of Heubax, her body gruesomely mauled. This was no ordinary animal attack. The beast seemed to single her out, ignoring the livestock nearby. It was the start of a horrifying pattern. Over the next few months, the attacks escalated. The beast was relentless, striking across the region. It was unnervingly intelligent, ambushing its victims, often decapitating them or tearing out their hearts. Panic gripped Gévaudan. People were afraid to leave their homes. Farmers armed themselves, and children were forbidden from tending the flocks. The local authorities organized hunts, but the creature proved to be incredibly elusive, seemingly vanishing into thin air after each attack. The tales of the beast were so horrific they soon reached the ears of King Louis XV in Versailles. The king, a ruler in an age of enlightenment and reason, could not allow a monster to tarnish the reputation of his kingdom. This was a direct challenge to his authority. He offered a massive reward for the beast's head and dispatched his best men to handle the situation. First came Captain Duhamel and his dragoons, seasoned soldiers who had faced enemies on the battlefield. They organized massive hunts, involving thousands of local peasants. They scoured the forests, set traps, and laid poison, but the beast outsmarted them at every turn. It would even attack near where the soldiers were stationed, as if mocking their efforts. Frustrated by Duhamel's failure, the king sent in his personal wolf hunters, the de Neyval father and son duo. They were legendary, having killed over 1,000 wolves. But even they were humbled. The beast seemed immune to their skills. The attacks continued, and the body count rose. The people of Gévaudan began to believe this was no mere animal. Priests declared it a scourge sent by God to punish them for their sins. Whispers of werewolves and demons filled the terrified villages. The beast's reputation grew. It was said to have bulletproof hide and supernatural speed. It could leap incredible distances and seemed to kill for sport, not just for food. The pressure on the king was immense. In a final, desperate move, he sent his own royal gun-bearer, François Antoine. Antoine was a man of great repute, a skilled hunter, and a veteran of war. He arrived in Gévaudan in June of 1765 with a new strategy. He organized smaller, more strategic hunts, studying the beast's patterns and territory. For months, the hunt continued. Then, on September 21, 1765, near the Abbey of Chazes, Antoine and his men finally cornered a massive wolf. It was a huge animal, weighing over 130 pounds. Antoine shot it dead. The wolf was stuffed and paraded through the villages before being sent to Versailles. The king declared the menace over. Antoine was hailed as a hero, showered with rewards and titles. Gévaudan breathed a collective sigh of relief. But the relief was short-lived. Just 2 months later, the attacks began again. 2 children were viciously mauled, and the old terror returned with a vengeance. Had Antoine killed the wrong animal? Or was there more than one beast? The king, having already declared victory, quietly washed his hands of the affair. He had his trophy, his story was written. For the people of Gévaudan, however, the nightmare was far from over. They were left to fend for themselves. The second wave of attacks was just as brutal, continuing for another year and a half. The end finally came on June 19, 1767. A local innkeeper and farmer named Jean Chastel, a deeply religious man, joined a hunt organized by a local nobleman. Legend says Chastel had 2 silver bullets, blessed by a priest. During the hunt, Chastel reportedly sat down to read his Bible and pray. When he looked up, the beast was standing before him. Calmly, Chastel finished his prayer, then raised his rifle and fired. The monster dropped dead. When this second beast was cut open, the remains of a young girl who had been killed the day before were found inside its stomach. This time, the attacks truly stopped. The reign of terror was finally over. So, what was the Beast of Gévaudan? The theories are as fascinating as the tale itself. The simplest explanation is that it was an unusually large and aggressive wolf, or perhaps a pack of wolves. Wolves in 18th century France were a real danger, but the descriptions of the beast, its size, its reddish fur, its strange behavior don't perfectly match a typical gray wolf. Some have suggested it was a wolf-dog hybrid bred for fighting and either escaped or intentionally released. A hybrid could explain its unusual size, strength, and lack of fear of humans. Another compelling theory points to a more exotic animal. Perhaps a hyena, brought back from Africa, which escaped from a private menagerie. A striped hyena's powerful jaws, sloping back, and eerie vocalizations could match some of the eyewitness accounts. But the most sinister theory suggests the beast wasn't an animal at all, or at least not entirely. Some historians believe the beast was a cover for a serial killer, perhaps a sadist, or a group of killers who dressed in animal skins and used a trained animal to help them commit their horrific crimes. This could explain the almost surgical nature of some wounds and the creature's uncanny intelligence. Some even point the finger at a member of the Chastel family, suggesting they trained the animal, and that Jean Chastel killed it to end the suspicion falling on his own household. Today, the Beast of Gévaudan lives on in folklore. It's a chilling reminder of a time when the line between man and monster, fact and myth, was terrifyingly thin. The official story is that 2 large wolves were killed, but the inconsistencies, the supernatural tales, and the sheer horror of the events leave the door open to speculation. Was it simply a wolf, a hybrid, an exotic beast, or the instrument of human evil? We may never know for sure. The forests of Gévaudan keep their secrets, and the shadow of the beast still lingers in the pages of history. Thank you for joining me on this journey into one of France's darkest mysteries. If you found this story as haunting as I do, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the unknown. Let me know in the comments which theory you find most convincing. Until next time, stay curious.